freedom. Ah, yeah, ah, yeah, ah, yeah, freedom. Asaba uhuru. Asaba uhuru. Ah, yeah, freedom. Ah, yeah, freedom. Ah, yeah, freedom. Ah, yeah, freedom. Asaba uhuru. Asaba uhuru. Asaba uhuru. Asaba uhuru. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Ah, yeah. Asaba uhuru. Asaba uhuru. We are the women. We come to drum. We are the channel between the earth and the sun. We hold the wisdom of the ancient ways. We bring peace to these troubled days. We are the women. We are the we come to drum. We come to we are the channel. We are the channel between the earth and the sun. We hold the wisdom. We hold wisdom of the ancient ways. Of the ancient ways. We bring peace. We bring peace to these troubled days. We are the women. We are the we come to drum. We come to drum. We are the channel. We are the channel between the earth and the sun. We hold the wisdom. We hold the of the ancient ways. Of the ancient. We bring peace. We bring peace to these troubled days. We bring peace. We bring peace to these troubled days. We bring peace. We bring peace to these troubled days. Ashe, you know the words. Fanga la fia, ashe, ashe. Fanga la fia, ashe, ashe. Hey, fanga la fia, ashe, 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 ashe. Fanga, fanga la fia. Ashe, 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 ashe. Hey, fanga la fia. Ashe, ashe. Hey. Ashe, ashe, you know the words. Fanga. Ashe, ashe. Fanga la fia. Ashe, ashe. Hey, fanga la fia. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Ashe, ashe. Ashe, 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 Fanga, Fanga, Lafia, Ashe, Ashe, hey, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you, Drum Song Orchestra. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's called Cuckoo. Thank you. This is our last song, so let me just say something to you. My name is Ubaka Hill, and I'm very, very, very happy to be here. And what's really great is that we're at City Hall. We're inside the People's House. And that's very exciting to bring this energy, this focus, and this moment of celebration for the statue of Sojourner Truth and her daughter, Sophia. So thank you so much for this great opportunity. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. so much. Drum Song Orchestra of the Hudson Valley. Drum Song Orchestra. Thank you. Drum Song. Drum Song Orchestra of the Hudson Valley. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Got it?
I don't know how I can follow that, to be honest. Talk about energy in the room, right? This is exactly what tonight is all about. And just listening to the rhythm, sometimes you hit a stride. And when I think about our community is hitting its stride because when it does, it means that people are coming together to do some really amazing creative things. And this event tonight is really just the coming together of our community to be able to showcase not only an amazing statue, an amazing artist, but to be able to continue to tell the story that our community has been telling for the last couple of years about Sojourner truth. And I think that, when we as the city of Kingston can partner with our institutions of higher learning like SUNY New Paltz and Dr. Wheeler, when we can partner with these amazing artists that we have in our community to tell a story, to really be able to create a welcoming environment, it just makes it even more so special. And so for me as the mayor to be able to host you all here in this beautiful building now for almost the next year, to be able to have this amazing statue grace our foyer, to be able to have every single person that walks through this building to be able to take a moment to just be with the statue and to be able to learn more about her history and what happened right here in this beautiful city at the courthouse and the fight for freedom that we're going to be talking about for the next 11 months. So it's pretty special. So I want to thank you all for coming. We have so many amazing community members, leaders of nonprofit and our clergy. We have members of law enforcement and our common council and the county legislature. And I just want to say thank you for just being here with us all. And again, for being a part of tonight. So when we go through this evening, I hope that you'll have an opportunity when we end, if you haven't had a chance to say hello to Kit Potter, my Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs, please do. You'll hear from Kit later, but I just want to say thank you, Kit, for helping to put this all together. And again, Dr. Wheeler, you're going to get to speak in a minute too, but your team has been incredibly wonderful to work with. So thank you. It's been a pleasure. And so without further ado, I would like to just welcome up Jen Metzger, our Ulster County Executive, who's going to give a few remarks. So Jen.
Thank you. You know my height. Good evening, everyone. So it is such an honor to be with you tonight and experience together this major installation of Sojourner Truth, First Steps to Freedom by the amazing Trina Green. I also want to thank Kip Potter, who is such a joy to work with always, and she puts just everything, her heart and soul and everything into making this experience so meaningful for all of us. So thank you, and thank you. And thank you, Dr. Wheeler and SUNY New Paltz, for sharing Sojourner Truth with us and her daughter, Sophia. Sojourner Truth is one of the most prominent and bravest figures in Ulster County history, and we honor her legacy. Sojourner Truth was born Isabella Baumfree van Wagenen here in Ulster County in 1797. She was bought and sold 4 times as a teenager, forced to perform harsh physical labor, and received violent punishments. In 1827, Sojourner walked to freedom, carrying her youngest child, Sophia, who is also depicted in bronze. In March 1828, Sojourner Truth returned to Ulster County and filed a habeas corpus petition in the Ulster County Courthouse on Wall Street, right here in Kingston, to win the freedom of her 5-year-old son, Peter, who was sold to a plantation in Alabama. Sojourner Truth prevailed. The first Black woman in American history to sue a white man and win. The original court documents are here on display. This statue eloquently expresses the brilliance, determination, and pain of a mother seeking justice and freedom. We at the county had the honor of safeguarding this beautiful sculpture in our Hall of Records while plans were being made for her next steps. And I want to thank our acting county clerk, Taylor Brook, and his staff for caring for her. I believe it's important for all of us to be part of the vital and sometimes very challenging conversation around art and history. And I am an active ally in giving voice to all of our diverse perspectives. To continue the conversation of history, I encourage you all to visit our Truth and Reconciliation website. You'll never remember this, but uctruth.ulstercounty.ny.gov. It's an incredible resource and educational tool with a searchable database of all primary documents. We have some of the oldest records in the state. There's an interactive map with locations of historic houses around Ulster County that were involved in enslavement. There's an overview of historic Black burial grounds and an extensive collection of stories chronicling lives of historic personages of African descent. We also have Sojourner Truth Day coming up on November 26th. And I want to thank Peter Criswell, chair of the legislature, for his work with youth from the YMCA Farm Project to make this a county-wide observance. This was in 2022, and that paved the way for our state senator, Michelle Hinchy, and Assemblywoman Sarah Hannah Shrestha to make it a statewide observance. So amazing. I hope that you will all join us on that day for a special ceremony we're having right in front of the courthouse. And we are bringing Barbara Allen, sixth-generation descendant of Sojourner Truth, here for the unveiling of the historic marker at the courthouse. And that evening, we'll be having a reenactment at the Restorative Justice Center on Broadway. So I hope you all can join us for those events. I want to thank you again for all being here. This is an incredible crowd of people here this evening. And to Trina Green, thank you for so beautifully capturing Sojourner Truth's freedom and journey. Thank you.
I'm going to, for those who don't know me, my name is Darrell Wheeler, and I have the distinct honor of being the president at the State University of New York, New Paltz. Thank you. So that I use my time wisely and I don't miss someone or something important, I'm going to start with thanks. I want to thank Mayor Steve Noble, Ulster County Executive Jen Metzger. We've worked hard together to do many things that are not always easy, but this room speaks to why we do it. I want to certainly thank the artist, Trina Green, for giving of your time and your energy, your artistry, your vision, and you and I worked through over the many, many months critical details of how we got here tonight. Absolutely want to thank Kip Potter for your vision. And the hard work you did to make sure this evening came about. I have to thank my entire SUNY New Paltz team, from our media people, Shelley Wright, your team, Jonathan, thank you. Our provost is here, Professor Weldon McWilliams and Anthony Dandridge, Professor Anthony Dandridge, thank you for all you do for the Department of Black Studies. It is important to recognize that as president, I can't do all the work. It is impossible, and you lead with a team. It's also important to recognize that with authority and responsibility comes accountability. And as the president, I can't select any one of those. I have to do all of those. And every day you are under a certain amount of responsibility and scrutiny to achieve each of those with stellar outcomes. You can't always do it. You can't always do the thing that you want to do. You have to do the thing you must do. And so when I arrived at SUNY New Paltz in 2022, I was presented with a conundrum. There was a statue, I heard, that was phenomenally developed, I heard, and it was done by a white woman of a black subject matter. Well, that didn't mean anything to me until I heard more of the story about how the statue's evolution created angst, turmoil, and stress and trauma within the SUNY New Paltz community. I had to listen to the difficulties of all sides in order to begin the process of understanding what to do, because SUNY New Paltz physically owns the materiality of the statue, and only the person sitting in the seat of president could make the final decision about what that statue would do. And that happened to be me at that moment in time. And it reminded me of a verse from Ecclesiastes 3, which mentions there is a time and a season for all things. And for some of you who know, it's also spoken to us by our families and generations. There but for this moment, you have been brought to this space. And understanding again that as the president, I don't get to pick between authority, responsibility, and accountability. So I set out on my own journey, a journey that allowed me to reach out to faculty, staff, community members, and the artists to try better to understand what are, what were, and what will be the difficulties of finding an appropriate final place for this statue to be in the fullest glory that you've heard about. Through meetings with our faculty on staff, through countless meetings and sessions, sometimes not always easy discussions, I finally had an epiphany about a year ago that Sojourner is the thing. Sojourn, travel, move, never sit, never deny the difficulties, but understand that if you try to sweep those under the carpet, you get nowhere. We as a country have failed from the inception of this country to live up to the value that we say every day when we look at our preamble and our Constitution, where all people are created equal. It is an experiment that this country has never actually achieved. As an institution of higher education, we have a responsibility to lean into that reality, not run from that reality. We must make space for difficult dialogue, and boy, I know about difficult dialogue this year. But I can't be the president without having the authority, the responsibility, and the accountability. And so I leaned into that, and through the process of sojourning myself, opening myself up to the frailties of Darrell Wheeler and reaching out to colleagues from across campus and across spheres, we came up with a plan that will allow the statue to be shared. And for all of us, as the mayor said, and as the county exec said, have these difficult discussions. We can be the example of what this country should have been from the inception, and how wonderful this opening was tonight, that we were reminded that there but for the grace of women, we are able to forge ahead. Again, as an institution of higher education, and everybody who has ever seen me on campus and at a meeting, you know I carry a notebook. And what's in the front cover of the notebook? The mission of the university. It has two reasons for being here: to be an academic resource for its students who seek greater knowledge, and we have to provide it with excellence. And number two, to be a value to the citizens of New York. It is on those two notes that I really close at this moment and say thank you for allowing me to lead an institution and to bring this statue to this moment, to this place, as she journeys over the next couple of years to come back, to rest, to be a beacon at the State University of New York at New Paltz for all who touch and see that statue going forward, to know the work is not done and we have much to do on this journey. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ann Gordon, former Ulster County historian, and I'm here tonight to tell you what's the story. Here's this beautiful statue that Trina has created of a mature woman carrying a baby. How did she get to this point? What was it that drove her to take these first steps to freedom? Well, the fact is she was born in Ulster County here in the town of Esopus and lived in that town for almost the entire 30 years of her life. She was not called Sojourner. She was known as Isabella or Belle, and sometimes she was known as Dumont's Belle. Whoever was her owner, Shriver, Neely, she was Belle, and she grew up in slavery here in Ulster County. And a lot of people say, oh, well, this was Northern slavery. It's not such a big deal. Well, what did it have in common with Southern slavery? Children were taken from their families and sold. Wives and husbands were sold apart. People were punished in the most brutal fashion. And you can see in the notices in the papers for runaways, scars, burns, missing ear, brand on cheek. This was Northern slavery, and it was a big deal, just as painful to its victims as Southern slavery. And this is what Isabella lived in for the 30 years of her life, when her master at the time, John Dumont, made a deal with her. It was 2 years before New York State had agreed to free slaves over the age of 25. She was 26 at this point. She was more than eligible. And Dumont said to her, if you do a good year's work, a really hard work, I'll let you go a year early. And with that in mind, she set to work. She was well known as being able to do the work of 2 men in the field. She could also spin, weave, act as a nurse, do housekeeping chores. She was an all-around person of value to her master. And you just have to wonder why he was ready to let her go early. Well, you have to remember she was 30 years old. The average lifespan of a slave was 40. She was coming to the end of her usefulness as far as he was concerned. So he made this deal with her. Let her go a year early if she did all the extra work. Well, during that year, she lost the finger from one hand in an accident in the field. And she also became pregnant and bore a child to Mr. Dumont. So there she was with an infant, missing a finger, and still had the goal to accomplish the work that would win her her freedom a year early. She was determined to get it. And we know so much about her from her book, her narrative of a northern slave, which she, being illiterate, dictated to a fellow abolitionist in the 1850s. And this lays out in the starkest pictures what her life was as a slave, what her relationships were with her family. And it's thanks to her that we know so much about her. It's really a wonderful, wonderful story. Well, what happened was when she came to Dumont and demanded her freedom as he agreed, he said, well, I've changed my mind. You really didn't do a very good job this year, and I think you're going to stay on for another year. Here's a woman who never went to church in her life. All her religious training was from her mother. She couldn't read or write. She knew nothing about the rights of citizens of the United States. Well, why should they? They didn't apply to her. But she knew she deserved to be treated fairly. And she deserved for that promise to be honored. And after thinking about it, remembering her mother saying it's a sin to run away at night from your master, she decided she wouldn't run, she would walk. She wouldn't go at night, she would go at that part of the night just before dawn. And sure, one October morning, and we know exactly when it was, she took her infant and left behind her other children, two daughters and a son, and walked away up the mountain, over the mountain, to the home of a Quaker on Old Post Road in the town of Ulster Park. That house is still standing. When she got there, the man that she had been sent to see was on his deathbed, Levi Rowe. And we know exactly when this was because his tombstone has been found. And on it, it says October 27th, 1826. And so we know that's when she was there. Well, the people there said, we really can't help you now. We're too involved with his illness, but we'll send you to the home of a family who will take you in. And they sent her to the home of Isaac and Maria van Wagenen, who lived over in what is now St. Remy in the town of Esopus. That house is still standing. And they took her in, and they said to her, don't call me master. I am not your master. There's only one master, and he is master of us all. That made such an impression on her. Well, she was only there a few weeks when, of course, word spread, and here came a wagon with Dumont saying, get in, you're going back with me. And she said, I'm not, I'm free, I'm staying here, I have a home. And he insisted. So Isaac Dumont came out and negotiated with him and agreed to give him $20 for the year's worth of service that he was owed. And she kept the child until she was weaned, but the child had to go back to be raised by her sisters because she was not Sojourner's property. She belonged to Dumont. Then we went into the story of how she got back her son from slavery. But really, this statue shows the first step she's taking, not just of freedom, physical freedom, but freedom up here, which she had in great store. So thank you, Trina, for bringing this to us today. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Brian Keogh, and I am the New York State Archivist. And I want to thank you for having me here. This is a wonderful opportunity to bring original, unique documents from the state archives to be displayed downstairs. So if you haven't got a chance to take a look, they're just going to be here tonight. We thank the Kingston Police for guarding these very rare and valuable documents. But again, I thank you. It's an honor to be here. And these documents show or tell the story and confirm a lot of the things that are in her narrative that Anne just mentioned about her fight for justice for her and for her son. So again, I'm delighted to be here. The State Archives has over 250 million records, over 150,000 boxes of records dating back 400 years to the colonial government. Through today, we still work with state agencies to make sure that they're preserving archival documents that tell the state's history. And these records are used by people that are researching not only the history of New York State government, but a word I heard in this room a lot today. These are the people's records, right? This documents not only what the government did, but how the people interacted with the government, how Sojourner Truth fought for freedom and justice for her son. So these records are from the Supreme Court, the habeas corpus petition, other documents that show the legal case proceeding to Sojourner Truth winning her case. And so one of the things that I want to convey tonight as we come upon celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War, the Declaration of Independence, right? July 4th, 2026. We're all going to have a big party with lots of fireworks and fun and celebrating that 250-year anniversary. But really, the end of the Revolutionary War is the beginning of an American Revolution for people, for women, for people of color to fight for the rights afforded them in the Bill of Rights and in the Constitution. And as the great doctor said, that's still going on today. We're still in an American Revolution fighting for historically marginalized groups to gain the rights that are afforded them in the Bill of Rights. So I want to thank you for having me here today. And again, among all the 150,000 boxes of records that we have at the State Archives, the people's records, these documents downstairs were found in one box, in a folder. And they were found serendipitously. Jim Foltz, one of our archivists, our head of researcher services, was looking for something else, was looking for examples of habeas corpus petitions from the early 19th century. As he was looking through them, noticed a woman's name, which was very rare among court documents at that time. The great historian Jim recognized the name Isabella Van Wagener and put the two together, and we communicate this to the country. CNN picked up the story a couple years ago telling about these original documents and Sojourner Truth's fight for freedom and justice, right? And that's what we're celebrating here. And we have the original documents, and it's so powerful to be near these documents, right? And see where Isabella, who was mentioned, could not read or write. She signed the habeas corpus petition with an X, right? But to be able to do that, to have the courage to challenge power in this country when she was part of a marginalized group, it's a tremendous story, right? And it's It's not African American history, it's American history, right? These are stories of American history. So, and I celebrate African American History Month, but we need to realize that this is part of all of our history, right? All of the people who live in New York State. These are our stories. And so I want to end with that. I want to thank you for having us here. If you have questions about the documents, and again, you got about 90 more minutes till we pack them up and take them back to Albany. But again, it's a delight to be here. This is a fantastic event, and thank you again.
Here we gather to find Lord's bidding, to praise His holy name. Together we gather to fight for our freedom. Together we fight. Together we're free. Together we fight. And together we're free. Now we are not sitting here all collected and not singing together. I said together we fight. Together we fight. Yes, together we fight. So together we'll be what? Yeah. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. 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 Blessings. Danke, 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 danke you for all being here, for congregating together. What a beautiful sight to see. You are all here for this precious word called freedom. But we mean to move it past a word. It is not just a word to talk about and discuss and think that it's a beautiful thing and then we move along. It is something to do. It is something to have. It is something to earn. And it is something to keep. Hello. Blessings, blessings abound. Blessings abound. This precious thing called freedom. Yes, we are taking steps. The first step towards freedom. That is the blessing that we are all witnessing today. We are all have come, and I feel God. God is in this room. God is in this room because God has brought you all from different parts of the land, of your home, of your place. All here gathered today to witness something, to hopefully feel something, to feel some truth. Not just for an event, because I have been to many, many congregations, many fancy events, many fancy homes, yeah? But let me tell you the truth. The truth is that you can talk about freedom, but I first learned about freedom out there in the fields by myself talking to God so that no one else can hear me. And also, as I sat by Mama Bet, my mother, by her knee, as she told me about the everywhere God, she said, Belle, God is everywhere. I said, no, yes, God is everywhere and in everything. In the sky, in the trees, in the dirt, in the sheep, in the river, and in people too. Sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah. Many times I go out to the field and I sit and I think and I wonder and I ask God for guidance, for strength. Yes, many steps. Many steps. I knew that I was for something else. You don't ever know where it will lead, but you know there is something else, that you are more than just what you are, or where you sit in that moment. My father many times would say many sayings and many stories from his homeland. And one, he said, no one knows the beginnings of a great man. No one knows the beginnings of a great man. Huh? Yes, yes. So be cautious. Be cautious when you see small beginnings. A person in small beginnings. Be cautious about dismissing them when they struggle as they make their first steps. Be cautious when you think that you know the whys and the wheres of where their path may lead. Until you walk in their shoes. I did not know the many steps that I would take to find this word, freedom. I did not know how many steps I would take just from living with Mama Bet and Vater at the Hardenbergs. And then we take steps. And I go to Neely's, the vicious Neely. And then I take more steps. And I am in Shiloh's Tavern. And then more steps in Yon Dumont. But all of those steps that I did not know I would take, pushed me forward. Pushed me forward towards the greater me, towards who I am meant to be. Through not knowing where I am going, but you must take the step toward. Yes, yes, children. I did not know the many things that I did not know. But I also knew to listen to God and trust that God will lead me there. Huh? Providence 16, verse 9. A man's heart, makes many plans. But the Lord establishes his step. I'm going to say it again. You listen now, huh? A man's heart, makes many plans. But the Lord establishes his steps. I did not know how many steps I would have to take. That first step you see towards freedom with my Sophia. Frightened I was. Frightened. Did not know where I was going to go, but I knew I must go. And I carried her, not knowing where to go. No plan, just knowing I must. And God led the way to my balm and my light in the Van Wagenens. All the many more steps that I took in the courthouse, going to and fro, barefoot in the snow, barefoot in the heat. 1, 2 years, miles and miles, read those pretty little cards downstairs. To fight for my son, Peter, who was taken at 5 years old and sold to Alabama. I fight. I had no plan, but I knew God will show the way. And thank God. Thank God. I got my Peter back. Sometimes you can take many steps and still you may not arrive at the place you wish. Because Peter was only 5. And for many months, while he was away, many years, he was beaten and scarred and whipped and abused. So he took all of that into his little soul. And he never let it go. So, as much as I won him back, my plan, he's still less and less. I held him. less and less, he was there. You know, you can, your children, you can give birth to them. It's a hard thing, you know, to accept and understand that you can give birth to them, but you cannot own who they own, what they own. You cannot. All you can do is plant your little seeds in their soul and trust that the steps that they take will be guided by God's providence. But it's always beyond you. Beyond you. Because even after all of that, even after winning back my son, that's all. Even after stepping into my freedom with my Sophia, even after all of that freedom, I still went, no, I should not say. Do you want to know? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Are you sure? Yes. Oh. Even after all of that winning, all of that planning, I still attempted to go back to the Dumont. Yes. Yes, to see my children, and for Pinkster, I love to dance, I love the music. What is wrong with that? See, I had my plan. But God knew. Woo! A flash of lightning. And I fell to my knees. And I felt all of this. And I looked up and I knew. God. Oh, my soul is like a whole prayer. God is, you're so beautiful. You know better. And I knew that God is bigger than anything, anyone. And God has touched my soul. Yes, it is my mother, Mama Bet, that birthed me. But it is God who can only touch my soul. It is God. No man can mold me by his own pattern. Only God has given you. Only God knows all of you and all of what you are to become. That is why we are all here. That is why we are all here. Because from that, I heard the truth. The truth bigger than what I only knew then. I heard, I felt, I saw the truth. And so I stepped into Sojourner. No more Isabella. You see? But you have to take the step to trust in where you are to be led. To trust that it is bigger than even you. We all are little people, little use. But all of us here gathered from all the many special parts become one big, glorious us. It is the us that becomes bigger and better than that one little you. That's why we are all here tonight celebrating freedom. Yes? Yes! Woo! Freedom! Yes! The freedom to clap, the freedom to sit, the freedom to walk, the freedom to breathe, the freedom to laugh, the freedom to talk, the freedom to share, the freedom to hug, the freedom to sing out loud, the freedom to be who you are and who you are meant to be. But you must step into it. Take that one first step into your freedom. Freedom of assumptions. Freedom of pain. Freedom of bad vibes, they call it. Freedom of old things that now have been holding you back. Freedom. Yeah. And now we are here tonight, all of us with all our many journeys, all of our many steps, here tonight to celebrate the beautiful piece of art as a community. The beautiful piece of information and shared story. They say history or her story, but it is, yes, our story. And it continues. It is not the end, it continues. For tonight, we continue and build more story. Sister and Trina Green. The blessing that you brought. Because she heard and hears the voice of God touch her soul and move her hands. That is art. That is love, that is soul, that is the unknown. That is not assumption. That is not expectation. That is not an ism. It is just what it is. Life. It is soul. It is you expressing something within you or something that you hear that says you must move and step forward. With whatever that is, and trust that it is good. And yet, like my children or my child Peter, sometimes they are not quite accepted or they are misused. And they go back and forth between all kinds of pain, unnecessary pain. The love shaped in the form of the dress, in the little field mouse, and the butterfly in the front, and the baby being held, and the face looking forward, is power and love. Everybody knows what that is. That is not to be harmed because it is power and just love. But what do I know? I don't want to make any more plans. I just want to celebrate here with you all. Celebrate what we call freedom, what we are building together, step by step. Yes? Laughter by laughter. Yes? Nod by nod. Yes? Yes? Okay. Beautiful. You are all beautiful for being here and for being. Listen to your higher calling. Listen, not what's on the page, because I cannot read. But I can hear and I can feel. Sometimes what's on the page is not real. There are things they say that I said that are not true. Ain't I a woman? That was not me. I did not write that. So, we are here to celebrate, and celebrate we must. So, give a shout out and say freedom! Freedom! Yes, let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Let freedom ring. Yes, sir. Ah. No, there's more. Thank you. But hey, okay, I clap for you too. But there's more. I believe, so thank you. We do have Mr. McClellan, yes? Yes, there he is. Come. Blessings to you. Blessings, brother. Blessings to you. Blessings, come. Now, please share your truth.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yes. Don't worry. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, man, I don't know how I follow that, but I'm going to try. Thank you. I want to first thank the University of New Paltz, SUNY New Paltz, the City of Kingston, and all those who are sponsoring this wonderful event. Can we one more time just give them a round of applause? Now that he is safely dead, let us praise him. Build monuments to his glory, sing hosannas to his name. Dead men make such convenient heroes, for they cannot rise to challenge the images that we might fashion for their lives. It is easier to build monuments than to build a better world. So now that he is safely dead, we with ease consciences will teach our children that he was a great man, knowing that the cause for which he lived is still a cause, and the dream for which he died is still a dream, a dead man's dream. That was written by Carl Wendell Hines Jr., A Dead Man's Dream, shortly after the assassination of Malcolm X. We are here this evening because we are grateful for the life of Sojourner Truth and the impact that she has left on this county and this country. There are many things that have been said about her life in particular, and there will be much more that will be said about her life. But I hope you don't mind if I share with you just a few moments to talk about the role and the meaning of symbols. This statue of Sojourner Truth and her child is a beautiful statue. We are grateful and thankful for the work that was put into it by Miss Green. Let's give her a hand. Thank you. We are grateful that there were individuals who saw fit to recognize the life of Sojourner Truth. We are grateful for the City of Kingston, City Hall, for believing that her likeness was important enough to be placed here. When I was a child, I had an interest in drawing, and I learned very early that art is subjective. There would often be times where I would draw things, and in my mind, I just knew it looked exactly like the object I was hoping to draw. And I would show it to family members and ask them, can you guess what this is? And very rarely would they guess correctly. So I learned at an early stage that art is subjective. Symbols have meanings, and depending on one's relationship to the symbol, the meaning could vary. There is no doubt in any of our minds that Sojourner Truth, her fight and her life is one that needs to continue to be told and shared with future generations to come. But I come this evening with a sentiment that is very similar to the sentiment that was shared by the poet I just read, Carl Wendell Hines. It's easier to build monuments than it is to build a better world. I just want to remind us this evening that Sojourner Truth lived her life in a way, not because she hoped that one day she would have a monument, not that she hoped that one day she would be revered and honored, but she lived her life in a certain way because she felt compelled to build a better world. A world that would be inclusive of her race. A world that would be inclusive of her gender. A world that would make an effort to listen to any and all voices in the room. So the question that I'm asking all of us, rhetorically of course, is how are we building a better world? The poem said, dead men make such convenient heroes, for they cannot rise to challenge the image we fashion for them. More often than not, conditions in which products are created say something about the product itself. The environment that existed while the creation is being created, will usually impact the creation. It was announced that on this sojourning tour that the statue would eventually rest at SUNY New Paltz. And I'm not sure how many of you know the story, but it was not the original plan, and I don't plan to delve too much into it. But the plan of the statue was to originally be placed at the Sojourner Truth Library on the campus of SUNY New Paltz. However, when that plan was originally revealed, there were many who did not know about the construction or the creation of the statue until plans have already been made for the unveiling to take place on campus. I must say that one of the things I'm grateful for is that at some point in time, when or if they talk about me, they will have to mention that for a short period of time, I was the chair of the second oldest Black Studies department in the world. And being the chair of the Black Studies Department, we understand that there comes, as the president mentions, there's a level of accountability. You have to understand the history of Black studies, and you have to understand the purpose of Black studies. And when we, the Black Studies Department, found out about the unveiling of this campus, we initially put out a statement that stated that we did not feel comfortable participating in the unveiling ceremony on campus because we felt that we had been left out of an important conversation. A conversation that would revolve around a statue built in the likeness of Sojourner Truth, a statue in the likeness of an important historical figure who is central to Black studies, central to Black culture, and central to Black life. The Black Studies Department felt that we should have been involved in some way, shape, or form in that discussion and how we would celebrate or acknowledge the life of Sojourner Truth on campus. And because we were not part of that process, we made a decision to put out a statement that would say we would not participate in the ceremony. We were later disturbed by the fact to find out that there were virtually no Black voices in the room when the decision was made how to celebrate the statue or the unveiling of the statue on the Black Studies, on the SUNY New Paltz campus. The Black Studies Department is built on the foundation that Black people need to have a say over the narratives of their own story. The Black Studies Department is adamant about the fact that the Black experience is a valid experience. It's not the only experience. It's not a universal experience, but the Black experience is indeed a valid experience. And Black people need to have a say in expressing the narrative of their heroes and their culture. After the Black Studies Department put out its statement that it would boycott or sit out the unveiling of the statue on campus, soon and very soon we found out that we had support from many other departments around the campus, who also revealed that they had little to no knowledge of this unveiling of the statue, and they stood in solidarity with the Black Studies Department. And it led to this moment where eventually the ceremony was postponed, and this is the environment that President Wheeler came in on. And I want to thank President Wheeler for at least having those tough conversations where he invited many into the room to figure out how we could move forward. But there were many who stood with the Black Studies Department, and they also acknowledged their little to no knowledge of the process. It was important for us to commit to creating a better world. It was important that we would create a world where we would consider the voices that have been traditionally marginalized. We found ourselves as a department once again in a place where we felt like our voice should have been considered, but yet it was marginalized and ignored. Black Studies felt that this was unacceptable and we could not move forward, and it was the responsibility of Black Studies to be a voice even for those who were voiceless. The Black Studies Department's position is that we are more concerned with moving in a way that would exemplify the spirit of Sojourner Truth more than we were concerned about the statue that may symbolize Sojourner Truth. It is important that as we celebrate this statue, as we celebrate the likeness, we ask ourselves, are we moving in the same spirit of Sojourner Truth? Are we in fact trying to make a better world? The poem says, so now that he is safely dead, we, with eased consciences, will teach our children that he was a great man, knowing that the cause for which he lived is still a cause. The cause for which Sojourner Truth lived is still a cause. And as great as she is, as great as she was, we must understand that in this moment we must recommit ourselves to doing the work that Sojourner Truth and so many others in the Black tradition were committed to doing. And as I prepare to close, I want to thank Ms. Potter for extending the invitation for me to speak. Can we give her a hand? When she reached out and asked, I told her, I said, Ms. Potter, the only way I'll speak is if I can articulate the position and tell the story of the Black Studies Department and be a voice for so many who felt like they were left out and marginalized in this process. And she said, we welcome that and we want their voices to be heard. So one more time, can we give, thank you, thank you. So let me just say this as I conclude. I just want to say that the work to really and truly be an anti-racist society is truly work. There are folks who have lived their whole lives trying to create environments and societies and institutions that are anti-racist. But it must be understood that in a society that was built on racism, in a nation that is rooted in racism, in a country that functions off the legacy of racism, and in a nation where this society still tries to deny the reality of racism, the fight to be anti-racist will never be a convenient fight. You can't wait until things are convenient for you to decide to fight against racism. The fight to be anti-racist is a fight that is risky. The fight to create an anti-racist world is a fight that comes with costs. It may cost jobs. It may cost position. It may cost title. And those of us in Black Studies and those of us who just know history know very well that it could even cost you your life. But I want us to think about this evening, how can we make this world a better place? I want us to think about the cost that you and I are willing to pay in order to make this world a better place. I'm not sure if all of you know this, but I'm a pastor of a church in Paterson, New Jersey, and I believe that the greatest example of a revolutionary and a liberator is in the person of Jesus Christ. That's my greatest example of a revolutionary and a liberator. And there's a particular quote by Jesus Christ that's in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, verses 24 through 26, and it reads like this. If any of you want to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me. If you try to hang on to your life, you will lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you will save it. And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your soul? In the fight to make this a better world, you have to be willing. I'm not trying to romanticize. You have to be willing to pay the cost. you have to be willing to stand on values. You have to be willing to put yourself in a circumstance where you may lose your position, your title, and your prestige, because justice is more important than your individual success. Justice for all is important than your individual success. So one day I really hope that when the story is said about me, that it's not just that he was at one point in time the chair of the second oldest black studies department in the world. That's great to know. But I hope that's not all that they say about me. I hope that when my time here is done, even if I don't get a statue or a monument or a road named after me, I hope that they will say that I was willing to stand up on behalf of those who were oppressed and exploited. I hope they'll be able to say to me that I was not afraid to stand up for my people, even though it put my job and my title at risk. I hope they'll be able to say about me that I did not sell out my people for the sake of convenience. And there are more people who will sell out the cause to make there are more people who will sell out the cause to make the world better for the sake of individual ease and convenience. I thank God and I'm grateful that this is not the story of Sojourner Truth. And I pray that this will not be the story for any of us who are here today. I pray that when it's all said and done, all of us have made or will make the hard decision to stand on the right side of history and to stand on the side of righteousness. Now that he is safely dead, let us praise him. Build monuments to his glory, sing hosannas to his name. Dead men make convenient heroes, for they cannot rise to challenge the images that we might fashion from their lives. It is easier to build monuments than to build a world. So now that he's safely dead, we with eased consciences will teach our children that he was a great man, knowing that the cause for which he lived is still here, and the dream for which he died is still a dream. Let us be committed to making this world a better place. Thank you.
Can you read this? Because my glasses, I can't. Yeah, I need my glasses. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Baba, Maxwell, Sophie, and the times. Okay. I think they just want to introduce themselves.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kate Himes, and I am Ulster County Poet Laureate, and I am the first Poet Laureate of Ulster County appointed by Art Smith Hudson.
All right.
And wow. Let me just say that as dedicated as Sojourner Truth was to freedom, she chose the name Truth for a reason. Mm-hmm. And we have had here today that experience through a number of voices of truth. So thank you to everyone who is here. Thank you to everyone who has gone before me. And so now I will make my contribution. The poems I am going to read tonight are poems that grow out of the work that I have been doing in New Pulse with the Margaret Wade Lewis Center. The first one is the result of struggling with the historical record. History is passed down in a variety of ways. I am grateful for the archives that New York State has. Spent a little time in the archives here in Ulster County. But there's a lot that's not there. And so I was thinking, and I was doing a lot of reading about trying to figure out this. And then one of the things I discovered is that there are multiple ways of passing down history. One of the ways is a West African tradition. It's the griot tradition. And for those of you who do not know, griots are traditional West African storytellers who have played a crucial role in preserving the oral history and cultural heritage of their communities for centuries. With their unique blend of music, storytelling, and oral history, like Sister Sojourner shared with us. Griots bring to life the stories of their people, giving voice to their struggles and triumphs, and keeping their cultural traditions alive. One of the things over the course of my year as being Ulster County Poet Laureate, I have truly embraced the role of being a griot. This poem is called We Be Griots. Part 1. Columns of names scribbled in longhand. Every 10 years, a census count records a fragment of a composition without the full measure of lives lived. Only details, black or white, male or female, can read or write, farmer or laborer. A baseline of individual notes without notations to tie one note to another, to compose a song, to tell our story. But we be griots. We sing full-throated. We sing the notes between the lines and spaces. We bend notes into shouts. Our voices cry out and growl, touch souls, call out spirits. We sing melody. We drum rhythms. We call and respond. We improvise until the Egan rise. We raise our hands, stir the air in praise. We make music. We keep on keeping on, blues and hallelujahs. We tell the stories hidden in history. 3, we lift the veil. No one truly dies as long as their name is spoken. Say their names, and I invite each of you in the audience to speak aloud the name of an ancestor you would like to honor.
Merla. Gregoria.
Thank you. The next poem I'm going to read is a poem written in 3 parts. And I'll share a little bit with you as I read through each section. And to begin with, the poem is, the title of the poem is taken from the concept of something that was a thread throughout Sojourner Truth's life. And that one of the things Sojourner Truth sought throughout her life was to find a home in an intentional community. So this poem, which is, as I said, in 3 parts, is entitled To Be Intentional. Isabella Baumfree was intentional. Promised freedom, she intended to have it. She dusted off her feet, stepped out on faith, and set off on her first freedom walk. Isabella found community among excellent people who offered refuge, who walked the talk, who testified slavery was a sin. They paid for her work. Isabella, a changed woman, changed her name, Isabella Van Wagenen. Isabella Van Wagenen was intentional. I'll have my child back. She prayed, oh God, make the people hear me. Don't let them throw me off without hearing and helping me. Her prayer was answered. A community rose up. They heard her cry, advised her the law was on her side, wrote her petition to the court, made judges listen as she gave voice to a mother's anguish and her power to make a way out of no way. Through many days of trial and tribulation, community provided work for her hands, a roof over her head, encouragement to keep on keeping on, until that great day, Isabella held her boy Peter again. Part 2, this is about a woman who lived her life in New Paltz, New York. She was roughly Sojourner Truth's contemporary. Sojourner Truth was born 1797. This woman was born 1803. Not as well known, but a woman who lived a remarkable life. Jane Dale Winecoop was intentional. She bought land, a quarter acre, 13 years after slavery was abolished in New York State. She freed her sons, John and Jacob, provided them a place to grow into men not subject to lifelong servitude and bound to a white man's beck and call. Jane was intentional. Her sons would be tradesmen, skilled craftsmen and carpenters, builders of houses, builders of community. From Jane's stake in the ground, a community rose up, Mulberry. On land at the outskirts of town, a long walk out of the way, outside the boundary lines, free to create homes and gardens, yards for children to play, shelter in times of need, a refuge for widows, a healing place for the aged and infirmed, a meeting place to speak one's mind. Jane was intentional. Her sons would vote. She bought property. Her sons did too. The state required black men to own property as proof they were worthy of what other men were given simply because they were white. Part 3. This is Jacob Winecoop, who is one of Jane Winecoop's sons. He grew to be a carpenter and builder. There are six or seven standing structures still in New Paltz that were built by Jacob Winecoop. One of them is called the Ann Oliver House. Jacob Winecoop was intentional. His mama taught him well. She said, I'm raising you to be a man. You are my Declaration of Independence. Unbound by sex and color, you never were a slave, born free, a new beginning. Jacob learned houses are intentional, constructed by a community of hands working together for a common purpose. Start with a solid foundation. Start with a solid foundation. Begin by disturbing the earth, overturning the ground built up over more years than Jacob could count. Dig. Despite rocks and stones in the way, keep digging. Raise up a frame of the best wood, straight and strong to bear weight, story upon story. Create room where lives can be lived. Add a roof. Make a house a shelter, a place of protection. In rainstorms and blizzards, shade from summer's heat, a hiding place in times of trouble. Finish with windows and doors to open, let light in, let their light shine out. Welcome neighbors and those in need. To close, keep out strong winds and bluster, evildoers who would tear down everything built up. To make a safe place, a respite from the world. Jacob was intentional. He built houses, he built a neighborhood, he built community. Thank you.
Yes, you can stay. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Kofi. I come from Ghana, West Africa. And it happens that Sojourner Truth's father came from Ghana. You know, James was a Ghanaian, you know, and the mother was a Guinean, you know. So it's just an amazing thing to kind of take you back to the motherland, you know. So we want to do something that would honor our elders because this is part of our history. You know, our elders are always going to be out there in the skies. Just don't forget, they shine every night. You know, we see the stars up there. And if we could take a moment and take a deep breath, we can connect with them, with the universe. So this is what we want to do. We want to get on to a rhythm called Atinga, and I'm going to get all of you involved because it's a call and response like we heard from Kate. It's a call and response. That's what we do, you know. So I am going to call Atinga, tinga, tinga, tinga. All you just have to do is just respond. Yeah. Atinga, tinga, tinga, tinga. Tinga, 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 tinga. And you can clap your hands. Yeah, you are part of the deal. So we are here to get you to celebrate this amazing time together. And we are here to bring you some, not only call and response, but just for you to tie some of these rhythms to what is happening in Ghana right now. So this is a rhythm called Kanlogo, and that's the drums that we are playing out here. The GL is the balafon, but we want you to connect with what we call the Homo Festival, which a lot of African Americans will go to Ghana today and celebrate in August. So when I call Achadi, it means clap and clap. All right? So we're going to add another layer to what we just did. Achadi. So you just clap and clap. Yeah. Achadi. And when you are clapping, you want to express yourself. Hey, or I feel good, or oh gosh, we got it. All right. Achadi. Hey, achadi. Oh, achadi. Ile, oh, hey, oh, hey, oh, hey. Achadi, clap and clap. Achadi, clap. Achadi. Don't worry, you're doing the right thing. The clap is completely opposite your call and response, so don't feel bad about it. Achadi, clap and clap. Achadi. Oh, achadi. Achadi. Thank you so much. This is Vince, part of the group, and this is Lisa. Yes, so thank you for having us. And please, let's not forget that we stand on the shoulders of those who have brought us this far. Never forget about that. And let's keep pushing forward. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Am I good? I can't see. Okay, there you go. I'm Kit Potter. I'm Director of Arts and Cultural Affairs for the Y'all acting like I'm paying you. I'm also an individual artist, and most notably, I'm an Afro-Dutch descendant of slave rape and Schaghticoke native of this very land, who just last year met our archivist, Jonathan Palmer, who presented my family with my fifth great-grandfather's manumission papers. His fifth great-grandfather, McCarty, purchased my Cesar Egberts, from hoteling and allowed him to buy his freedom cheap. I've also recently engaged with Deborah Bruno, whose ancestors owned mine. And we most recently and painfully found out that we are cousins by slave rape. So Isabella, Sojourner, it's not just Ulster County history to me. Trina's brilliant likenesses of her are not just beautiful works of art to me. This is very personal, very emotional, and it all runs deep. I can't tell you how many women of all backgrounds have already come to lay eyes on Trina's first step to freedom and wept openly at first sight. Isabella runs deep for many. We are a burgeoning arts colony, and the arts are our local primary economic driver because of one thing alone: the prevalence of our local individual artists among the most gifted in the entire world. Kingston's Arts and Culture Master Plan calls upon me to watch over, protect, support individual artists, and that's why when I heard the news that the 2021 First Step to Freedom installation was postponed, I felt for the artist, and I made it my goal to put my arms around the artist who is doing exactly what my master plan calls upon us to do: tell the raw truth of Ulster County's history through the arts. From the Port Ewan statue of young Isabella with her whipped up, burned up back, to the statue commemorating the residents of the poorhouse whose bodies lie in a mass grave underneath what is now the Ulster County Fairgrounds, to this magnificent work now gracing City Hall's grand foyer, Trina Green is telling the real history we may never see allowed in the standard New York State high school curricula. First Step to Freedom didn't come without pain and controversy, but isn't that what public art and public art policy is? Public art is not a kumbaya conversation, people. From the many who have visited my office demanding that I lead the charge in tearing down those Academy Green statues, to my long visit with O Positive, whose task is the deaccession of murals once they reach term, the most painful experience having been the Black Lives Matter mural deaccession, which impacted our entire beloved community. Our conversations through the arts will probably never be easy. But who needs easy? Easy's boring. Art is fire. And hopefully these conversations can bring us forward together whether we agree or disagree. Public art brings a voice to the voiceless, a platform for freedom of expression, the open door for the untold stories, the way to honor the most honorable, and more. But one thing I'm hoping for with regard to First Step to Freedom is that it inspires us to dig further into our archives and try to find more descendants of Sophia's brothers and sisters. They could be mine, they could be yours, we don't know. Some of us passed for white and ran away. More descendants of Sophia's brothers and sisters may be still here, and we might be able to find them with the help of our archivists, our New York State archivists, and our Ulster County archivists. The miles and miles of records still exist. We won the Civil War. We didn't have to burn down anything up here. We went down south and burned it down. We're New York. It's my hope that this great work of art has and will embark upon, will send the message to many who are going through the storms. What was that old saying our elders used to sing? Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Thank you to all who came forward to take care of Isabella when she was sort of homeless for a period. Our dear, sweet Nina Pastupak, Harambe Kingston, St. James Church, Old Dutch Church, so many that said, bring Isabella to us. We will see that no harm comes to her. Simply beautiful and a true reflection of this entire beloved community. Thank you to the Ulster County Clerk's Office and team for taking such good care of her and putting up with us the last few months, because we've been in and out of your office and they've been smiling. I don't even know how you put up with it. Coming back and looking at the statue. Trina was really pleased with her condition. Very pleased with her condition. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Noble, who without hesitation gave a nod to bringing her to City Hall so that everyone can see Isabella's beauty and celebrate her greatness, and so that we may be able to help continue the healing through the open dialogue, listening and learning with our open hearts and minds. To our local, unflappable, truth-seeking historians, to our loyal supporters, and to all of you who came out tonight to celebrate this great legacy and help illuminate our hidden past and be a part of our brilliant future. To our precious Trina, do you know, people that see me and Trina together, one said, "Is that your mother?" And so we said, okay. And then Trina looked at me and she said, I'm too young to be your mother. We'll be sisters. So that's my sister right here. But thank you so much, Trina, for bringing the hidden truth to light in such a beautiful way through your mighty gifted hands. From my Arts Commission, our Public Art Committee, and tonight's brilliant presenters and performers, our amazing Aisa, to Radio Kingston's tech team, I bow to you all with gratitude, and I love you all. Thank you, Isabella Sojourner, for guiding us through this journey. May our ancestors protect and guide us always. Thank you all for coming. Get home safe. We'll see you in December. Wanishi, may the way be beautiful for you. Aho.